Have you ever felt like your emotions were too much to handle? Like sadness, anger, or anxiety were enemies you had to fight off or hide from? The Stoics, often misunderstood as emotionless, actually saw emotional pain in a very different way. They didn't teach suppression. They taught strength, clarity, and understanding. And today, we'll explore how you can use their wisdom to face even your hardest moments with calm and courage. The difference between pleasure and peace. In today's world, we're constantly told that we should be happy all the time. We chase likes, comfort, distractions, and quick wins. We buy things we don't need, scroll for hours, eat when we're not hungry. Why? Because we've been taught to confuse happiness with pleasure. But the Stoics saw it differently. They believed that pleasure, while not inherently bad, is fleeting, external, and unreliable. It's something that happens to you. It's out there. And because it's out there, you can't control it. You get a raise, you feel good. Someone praises you, you're happy. But what happens when the raise doesn't come? What happens when no one is watching? That's where pleasure disappears, and peace becomes essential. Seneca reminds us that pleasure is a poor substitute for peace. Because peace, unlike pleasure, doesn't depend on circumstances. It's internal. It's built through clarity, discipline, purpose, and alignment with your values. Peace doesn't mean you feel amazing all the time. It means you're okay even when you don't. Let's look at a few examples. On the left, someone gets a notification, smiles for a moment, then looks empty again. On the right, someone sits quietly, sipping tea, journaling, grounded and calm. Pleasure might give you a high, but peace gives you strength. Pleasure is the cookie. Peace is the ability to say no to the cookie when you don't need it. Pleasure is what you feel when everything's going your way. Peace is what you hold when everything isn't. Now, don't get me wrong, pleasure isn't evil. The Stoics didn't say, never enjoy anything. They said, don't depend on it. Don't let it control your state of mind. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world during his time, wrote this to himself. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking, not in things, not in other people, not in how your day is going, but in how you think. So next time you're chasing a quick fix, a distraction, a dopamine hit, ask yourself, am I seeking peace or just another dose of pleasure? Happiness comes and goes. Peace stays when you stop needing constant happiness. 3. What real mental health looks like to a Stoic. When we hear the phrase mental health, what comes to mind? For many of us, it's about feeling good, being happy, having no anxiety, always being positive. But what if that's not the full picture? What if real mental health isn't about feeling good all the time, but about handling life well, even when it doesn't feel good? If you are disturbed, it is not the things themselves that disturb you, but your judgment about them. This one quote holds a deep truth. The Stoics believed our emotions aren't caused by life events themselves, but by how we interpret those events. In other words, your mind is the filter, and that filter determines your experience. Let's break it down. Someone cuts you off in traffic. One person shrugs it off. Another explodes in anger. A job interview doesn't go well. One person sees it as a chance to improve. Another spirals into self-doubt. The situation is the same, but the reaction is different. That's the Stoic secret. Mental strength isn't about control over life. It's about control over your reaction to life. So, what does real mental health look like through the lens of Stoicism? It means thinking clearly, even when your emotions are loud. Acting wisely, even when you're under pressure. Responding calmly, even when things are unfair or painful. A mentally strong person, according to the Stoics, accepts life's ups and downs, doesn't panic during discomfort, stays focused on virtue, not outcomes. And that last point, virtue over outcome, is powerful. It means you don't need everything to go right to be okay. You just need to do the right thing, with courage, with honesty, with patience. Young person losing a sports match, but shaking hands with a smile. Another person receiving bad news, but responding with deep breaths and clarity. This is what real mental health looks like. Not perfect peace, but the ability to return to peace when the storm passes. Not constant joy, but the skill of staying grounded, even when joy is out of reach. Let's do a little thought experiment. Imagine the wisest person you can think of. Someone truly balanced, deeply grounded. Now ask yourself, are they always smiling? Always cheerful? Or are they steady, calm, unshaken? The Stoic ideal isn't about a constant emotional high. It's about emotional maturity, the ability to feel without being ruled by feelings, to hurt without becoming hopeless, to fear without being frozen. True well-being isn't about always feeling good. It's about always being able to respond well. 4. Quotes and lessons from the Stoics. Slow, thoughtful music begins. Historical images or statues of Stoic philosophers fade in and out. Seneca, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius. The wisdom of the Stoics wasn't just written in books. It was forged in hardship. They didn't speak about peace and strength from a place of comfort. They lived through exile, slavery, betrayal, sickness, and war. And still they remained calm. Still, they wrote words that echo through centuries. Still, they chose peace. Let's look at what they left behind and what we can learn from it today. A man's peace of mind does not depend on fortune. It is the product of his own soul. Seneca was a Roman senator, a wealthy man, but he was also exiled, accused of crimes, and lived under constant threat from a mad emperor. Still, he reminds us, peace of mind is not about luck, not about what happens to us. It's about what we build inside. We live in a time where we wait for life to give us peace. Seneca tells us, don't wait. Create it, cultivate it, own it. We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond. Epictetus. Epictetus was born a slave. He was beaten, treated as property, and lived with physical disability for most of his life. Yet his teachings are some of the most empowering ever written. He teaches one thing, over and over: your power lies in your response. You can't always choose what happens, but you can choose your mindset, your actions, your inner posture. In today's world, we're told to control everything: schedules, success, even emotions. But Epictetus teaches us to focus only on what we truly control. Our choices, our reactions, our thoughts. That's where freedom lives. Marcus Aurelius on inner calm. Bust of Marcus Aurelius with calm ambient visuals. Flowing water, slow sunrise, quiet battlefield scenes. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you'll find strength. Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius wasn't just a philosopher. He was the emperor of Rome. He led during plagues, famines, and war. And in his darkest moments, he turned inward, writing to himself, reminding himself, control the mind, let go of the rest. He believed that strength comes not from controlling others, but from mastering yourself. We scroll through endless advice on how to be stronger, more successful, more zen. But Marcus shows us the source is simpler. Direct your thoughts. Focus your energy. You already hold the key. Side-by-side images: Seneca, exile; Epictetus, slavery; Marcus Aurelius, war, all calm and dignified. These men didn't live easy lives. They lost friends, faced death, saw cruelty and chaos. And yet, they chose peace. They chose clarity. They chose to respond with strength instead of despair. What does that say to us? It says, we don't need perfect circumstances to be calm. We don't need everything to go right to feel whole. We just need the right mindset, the right tools, the right philosophy. 5. Why embracing hardship can lead to real contentment. Let's be honest. Life is not easy. We all experience pain, illness, loss, heartbreak, failure, anxiety. Stoicism doesn't ask us to pretend these things don't hurt. It doesn't say, just think positive. Instead, it says something much deeper. Prepare your mind. Strengthen your character. Don't run from the hard things. Grow from them. Blacksmith hammering gold over fire. Fire tests gold. Adversity tests the brave. Seneca, just as fire refines gold, hardship refines the soul. It strips away what's unnecessary. It teaches us what we're really made of. It's a training ground for the mind. Stoic tools for building inner strength. 1. Negative visualization. Visual. A person sitting calmly, imagining their life without a loved one, then hugging that person tightly. This isn't about being pessimistic. It's about appreciating deeply. The Stoics practice premeditatio malorum, imagining the loss of what they love, not to feel despair, but to remind themselves everything is borrowed, everything is precious. So when loss does come, and it will, they are not crushed. They are ready, grateful for what they had. Narration. Try this. Close your eyes. Imagine losing something you take for granted. Your job, your health, a friend. Now open your eyes and look at that thing again. Feel the quiet gratitude. That's the power of Stoic presence. 2. Voluntary discomfort. Visual. Someone taking a cold shower, sleeping on the floor, or fasting with calm resolve. The Stoics also practice small, chosen hardships. They would fast, wear simple clothes, sleep without comfort. Why? To prove this to themselves. I don't need ease to be okay. My peace is not dependent on my comfort. In today's world, we're taught that mental health means making life easier. The Stoics flip that, make yourself stronger, and life becomes easier by comparison. Someone walking through rain with calm acceptance, while others rush for cover. True resilience is built like a muscle, through repetition, through resistance. A Stoic example, losing a job without losing peace. A person receives news of being laid off. They take a breath, sit down, and begin planning their next step. Imagine someone loses their job. That's a hard moment. Scary, uncertain, but instead of falling apart, they stay calm. Why? Because they never attached their identity to their title. They knew this day could come. They were mentally ready. They say to themselves, I lost my job, not my values. I still have courage. I still have discipline. I still have me. This is the Stoic way. Not pretending pain isn't real, but refusing to be destroyed by it. Key point on screen. Peace doesn't come from avoiding pain. It comes from becoming strong enough to face it. The Stoics believe that life will test us again and again, but if we are prepared, if we meet pain with wisdom, we discover something deeper than happiness, real contentment. Not the contentment of perfect conditions, but the contentment of inner strength, the kind that says, I don't need life to be easy. I need to be ready. 6. Closing message. You don't need to be happy all the time. That's not a failure. That's being human. But you can be peaceful. You can be steady. You can be strong. The Stoics didn't seek comfort. They sought character. They didn't avoid pain. They prepared for it. And they found something far better than happiness. They found peace. If this video helped you, share it with someone who's struggling to find their calm. And remember, it's not about being happy. It's about being free.